Animal consciousness. What do we really know? Section 1, Introduction. What if everything we believed about human uniqueness was wrong? What if consciousness, the ability to feel, to choose, to experience reality, wasn't an exclusive feature of our species, but something far more ancient, widespread, and familiar? In 2012, inside the historic halls of the University of Cambridge, a group of leading neuroscientists gathered to make a public declaration. Their message was bold, almost radical for the scientific world. Humans are not the only conscious beings. According to what became known as the Cambridge Declaration on Consciousness, mammals, birds, and even creatures as unexpected as octopuses possess the neurological structures required for subjective experience. In other words, science officially acknowledged what countless people have sensed all along. We are not alone in awareness. But if that statement feels powerful in theory, wait until you hear this. In a laboratory in New Zealand, researchers once kept an octopus in a sealed tank while they prepared for behavioral experiments. One night, security cameras caught something astonishing. The octopus opened the tank's drain valve, slid across the floor, climbed into a nearby water pipe, and disappeared, escaping back into the ocean. No panic. No randomness. Just strategy. Precision. Intention. An animal we once believed to be little more than instinct, quietly planned its own jailbreak. So maybe the real question isn't whether animals are conscious, but whether we are ready to rethink everything that consciousness truly means. Section 2, What is consciousness, scientifically speaking? If a chicken feels fear before being slaughtered, does it really matter whether it knows its own name? This simple question cuts right to the heart of the problem. We often confuse self-awareness with consciousness itself. But in science, consciousness is not one single thing. It's a spectrum. A layered phenomenon. Most researchers divide it into three key dimensions. Sensory consciousness, the ability to perceive the world. To see, hear, touch, and react. A fish darting away from a shadow. A dog turning its head when you call. Affective consciousness, the ability to feel emotions, to suffer or enjoy. A rat showing signs of empathy when another rat is in distress. A hen clucking anxiously when her chicks are threatened. Self-awareness, the rarest form. The ability to recognize oneself as an individual. Dolphins, elephants, magpies, and even some fish have passed the so-called mirror test, touching or investigating marks placed on their own bodies when seen in a reflection. And here lies the philosophical tension. Does one need to recognize oneself in a mirror to truly suffer? Of course not. Pain, fear, joy, these belong to the realm of affective consciousness. And this is the realm where the evidence is now overwhelming. Scientists once hesitated to make bold claims, fearing accusations of anthropomorphism, the danger of projecting human feelings onto animals. But the tide is changing. Increasingly, studies show that consciousness is not an all-or-nothing property. It's a continuum stretching across species in ways we are only beginning to map. So the real mystery is not whether animals are conscious, but what kind of consciousness each species possesses and how far that spectrum extends. Section 3, Surprising Evidence of Animal Consciousness. The further we look into the animal kingdom, the more the line between instinct and awareness begins to blur. Take crows and ravens, for example. These birds are part of the corvid family, and their intelligence is legendary. Experiments have shown them using tools, solving multi-step puzzles, and even planning for the future, hiding food in secret spots and remembering where they placed it days later. In one striking study, a raven refused to cooperate with a researcher who had once tricked it, holding a grudge, and teaching other ravens to avoid that same human. Memory. Strategy. Social learning. Or consider the elephant. When an elephant in the wild dies, the herd often pauses. They approach the body. They touch the bones with their trunks. Sometimes they linger in silence, even days after the death. This isn't just behavior. It looks eerily like mourning. Some scientists describe it as grief, a depth of emotional life we once thought only humans could experience. And then, there is the octopus. With neurons spread across its 8 arms, it thinks with its body as much as with its brain. In captivity, octopuses have been known to recognize individual humans, to play with toys, even to squirt water at lights they find annoying, as if showing displeasure. They don't just react to the world. They interpret it. Even animals we usually overlook reveal surprising signs of empathy. Studies have shown that rats will often free another rat trapped in a cage, even ignoring a pile of food to do so. Chickens, too, show stress responses when they see their chicks in danger, suggesting a form of emotional contagion we can only describe as empathy. Piece by piece, case by case, the evidence builds a powerful picture. Animals are not biological machines, blindly reacting to stimuli. They perceive. They remember. They plan. They suffer. And the more we uncover, the harder it becomes to deny that consciousness, in its many forms, is a thread woven deep into the fabric of life itself. Section 4. If they are conscious, why do we still treat them as objects? If animals are conscious, if they feel fear, joy, and even grief, then why do we still treat so many of them as if they were objects? Every year, it's estimated that tens of millions of animals are used in laboratories across the world. Rats, mice, dogs, cats, primates, even octopuses. Many endure invasive procedures, intense stress, and in most cases, death. The justification is often the same: it's for the benefit of humans. And yet, over 90% of the drugs that show promise in animal trials fail when tested on people. Then there's the food industry. Billions of animals raised in industrial farms live short lives under cramped, stressful conditions, with the sole purpose of becoming meat on a plate. The scale is staggering, and so is the suffering. But here's where things get complicated. Most societies have built their economies, their traditions, even their sense of culture around animals as resources. From medical research to food production, to clothing and cosmetics, animals are deeply embedded in our systems. So we find ourselves in a paradox. On the one hand, science increasingly tells us that animals are conscious, sentient beings. On the other, our industries and our daily lives still depend on treating them as commodities. And perhaps this is why so much resistance remains. Because if we truly accept animal consciousness, then we also inherit a responsibility, one that challenges the very foundations of how we live. Section 5. The future of human-animal relations. If the evidence for animal consciousness is so strong, then the next question is inevitable: what do we do with this knowledge? Around the world, scientists and innovators are already exploring new paths that could redefine our relationship with other species. One of the most promising developments is the rise of cultivated meat, real meat, grown in laboratories from animal cells, without the need to raise or slaughter entire animals. It's still in its early stages, but advocates believe it could dramatically reduce animal suffering, while also addressing environmental concerns linked to industrial farming. At the same time, advances in artificial intelligence are beginning to unlock something almost unthinkable: translation of animal communication. Researchers are using machine learning to analyze the complex clicks of dolphins, the deep rumbles of elephants, even the facial expressions and body language of dogs. The goal is simple: to give us a window into what animals are saying, and perhaps, one day, to hold a true dialogue with them. And in scientific research, new technologies are offering alternatives that bypass animal suffering entirely. Computer simulations, organ-on-a-chip models, and advanced imaging tools are making it possible to test medicines and products without relying on painful experiments on living beings. For the first time in history, humanity may be standing at a crossroads. A place where compassion, technology, and science converge, giving us a chance to reimagine a future where animals are not silent subjects, but acknowledged participants in the web of life. Section 6: Consciousness and the Quantum Mystery. There is a provocative question at the crossroads of science and philosophy. What role does consciousness play in shaping reality itself? Quantum physics suggests that, at the smallest scales, particles may not exist in definite states until they are observed. Some interpretations go so far as to suggest that consciousness might be required for reality to collapse into the form we perceive. But this raises a fascinating paradox. If consciousness is necessary, what about the time before humans existed? How did reality unfold during the age of the dinosaurs, or even earlier, before complex life emerged? Here, we might wonder, could the dinosaurs themselves, with whatever level of awareness they possessed, have played a part in this great unfolding? Their sensory worlds, filled with sights, sounds, and instincts, may have been different from ours, but perhaps their consciousness was enough to participate in the continuous observation that shaped reality. Some interpretations resolve the paradox more simply, suggesting that any interaction, not only conscious ones, can collapse quantum states. Yet the possibility that all conscious beings, from the first mammals, to the dinosaurs, to the creatures of today, contribute to the very fabric of reality remains one of the most intriguing questions we can ask. Section 7: Closing Reflection. Consciousness. For centuries, we thought it belonged only to us. That awareness, memory, joy, and sorrow were the exclusive domain of the human mind. But the evidence tells another story. From crows that remember our faces, to elephants that mourn their dead, to octopuses that plan their escape, the signs of inner experience are everywhere. So perhaps the real question is no longer, are animals conscious? That answer seems clearer with every new discovery. The deeper question is, what does this mean for us? If animals truly share in the fabric of awareness, are we ready to change the way we see them? The way we use them? The way we coexist with them? And maybe the most humbling thought of all, what if animals have been communicating their experiences all along, and it's only now that we're finally learning how to listen? Because if consciousness is not the exception, but the rule of life itself, then the story of who we are is far larger than we ever imagined. If you enjoyed this video, leave a like, comment, share, and subscribe.